Going live. Hello, everybody. I am MJ, and this is another episode of All Things Crunchy. Tonight here in San Diego, I've got some lovely ladies here joining us. Tonight we're going to talk to, again, I'm very excited to have Susie Walton join me again. She started off this season 2 of All Things Crunchy with me, and that was an awesome episode. So I'm going to bring her up and say hi to Miss Susie Walton.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I had a great day, and I was excited about this, and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Yay. How is the weather in your part of town right now?
Pretty nice, because I'm in Cardiff.
Oh, nice.
So you got that little ocean breeze going on, which is always a plus.
Perfect. And I'm going to bring it over here to Miss OG Mamacita. I think I muted you, Mama, so I think you have to unmute if you want, but otherwise.
I think I'm good. Hey,
There we go. Thank you for joining us. And so you are not in downtown, wherever you are. Hopefully it's cool.
It's very cool. And I think that noise that you thought was a bus driving by is air conditioning.
Oh!
Yes,
well, isn't that just amazing?
I know. And since it's not my house, I can't fiddle with the buttons. So I'm just going to leave it as it is.
There you go. And make sure it's down to like 60 degrees, just like you like it.
There you go.
Perfect.
I needed to be Ireland. I just needed to be Ireland.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. I'm glad I could join.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you, and then I thought maybe you were busy, but I'm glad that you could join too.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you joined too.
Yeah, so Susie loves questions. So while you were away, Erin, we were talking about, just throughout the show, if you have questions, please let her know, because she loves to help us by answering our questions.
Yay, so I'll just raise my hand. I have a question. And I'm going to run and grab my phone so I can tweet and see if I get some questions.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what we're talking about tonight and just a little bit more about Susie. We have her website, Indigo Village, showcased here in the Hangout. So if you're watching on Google, then you'll be able to see it right there on the right-hand side. Let me just bring it up. Since tonight we have a little lower third issue, so I am not Susie Walton, as you all know, hopefully, but I'm just bringing up her name so you have her name and you're able to write it down if you'd like, and then visit indigovillage.com. That's where you can find her and all the things she's doing here in town, and also how she can help you anywhere really, because I think that you do phone calls, Skype, things like that, Susie?
Yeah, I do Google Hangouts and coaching over the phone and in person, and I also have that online course too, which is pretty optimal.
Yeah, and then you can get groups of like parents together, like if parents want to get groups of couples together or whatever, and have like a have you come out and do that. I always thought that would be so fun.
It's so fun. The people who've done it, MJ, they get, they every night someone hosts it, and they do the dinners and the drinks, and it's, they get to be with each other for 4 straight weeks, which is, that's hard to do with your friends unless it's scheduled out. And this is like a business meeting, so to speak, because it's parenting. So it's always really fun, and the people totally enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that it would be, we always talk about community and creating that, that village, that that tribe. If you don't have one yourself, then create it. So
right, yeah,
doing that with people that you know, and then you kind of want to grow with as your kids get older. It just sounds like a win-win. So definitely check out Susie's website and any of the things that she has to offer with that, because they are amazing, as all our shows together. So tonight we're going to talk about reaction and response pertaining to, really, we're talking about parenting, but really I think it's just relationships in general. The more that I've learned that my relationship with my son is that a relationship and that it grows and it continues to change, you know, the more that it kind of flows into my relationships with all the adults in my life, my husband and other people. So, you know, I'd say that this would just be for parenting, but I think that it does like overflow into everything else in life. Mm-hmm. And so we do have questions from people that were on the Facebook event, and so I'm gonna intervene in the middle of our show tonight with those questions. But if you guys have any questions, please comment. If you're watching on YouTube at the bottom of the video, or if you're watching through Google, you should be able to click right over, and I will try to check the question and answer box every now and then to see if you all have any questions that we can answer. So let's jump in and get started on just basically, I think the first thing was parenting challenges. Now,
right.
We were talking a little bit before the show started about my experience. I had been an aunt for so many years, and that is just different. You know, they're not your children. You don't have them 24 hours a day, you know, 365 days a year. So my idea of parenting was just totally different. I just didn't think it was going to be what it ended up being. Not that it wasn't great, but it had challenges. So, and frustrations where I didn't think like you know, as a mom and wanting to be a mom for so long, it hurt. It made me sad to think that I was frustrated with my child. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you take this a little bit, and I'm sure I'll try and get my questions answered while you talk, and then Erin too, of course, jump in when you have any questions.
All right. So the thing is, I mean, it's all of us as parents. I mean, my sons are older now, but I now have 8 grandkids. 5, they're all 5 and under. So I'm like in the heart of it again. But this time I actually have some tools.
Yeah.
And so because of what I know from the past of my own parenting, and even now sometimes with my grandkids, like if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm tired, I'm stressed, I've got, you know, it's really hard to be that responsive parent. And so, you know, we become very reactive when I think the most important thing is self-care. When we don't take care of ourselves, it's very easy to go to reactive parenting.
Yeah.
And it can be, you know, if your kids spill their milk in the morning, you're going to respond so differently if you've had 4 hours of sleep versus 8 hours. So the self-care is huge. It's actually a major responsibility of all parents, self-care. And so the thing is, when we're not self-caring, or, you know, the kids are just not listening, and we've told them 14 times to pick up their toys, what normally happens? Like this, it just gets bigger, right? And all of a sudden, we yell, we threaten, you know, we might punish them, and those are all very reactive, and those are all that's pretty norm when it comes to challenges. And we all have different challenges, but it doesn't really matter what it is. It's because it's a challenge to us, and that might not be a challenge to you, but for me it might be if the TV's on too loud or something. So the normal thing that we do is that we react. And so what we're looking for is something more of a how to respond to a situation versus reacting. Right. So there was a man, his name's Viktor Frankl, and he was an Austrian psychiatrist, and he was in the camps during the time of Hitler. So he was in the concentration camps, and obviously he survived. And so he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And in the book he talks about the stimulus, things that get us going, right? And what he says is between stimulus and response lies a space. And in that space we have the power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. Right. So so you take that and you move that into the parenting realm. And as you already mentioned, MJ, this is for all relationships. Tonight we're focusing on our kids.
Yeah.
So the stimulus happens. And what happens for a lot of parents is that we try to be so patient that we don't tune in to the first stimulus. And we kind of like think it's just going to go away, or it's not that bad, until it gets to that point, like, you know, your child's going, Mom, Mom, right. Mom, Mom, and all of a sudden you grab their arm and stop it, what do you want? Well, why did we wait until we couldn't handle it, right? And there you can see there is no space between the stimulus and response. And that's where the reactiveness comes in. That's where the disconnect comes in. In that moment, your child doesn't feel very connected. And then we feel lousy, you know, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Definitely.
that's that part we're talking about, how to become more of a responsive parent, which I also like to call very conscious parent, is to recognize the stimulus in the beginning. You know, like the minute our kids are tantruming or no, like rather than ignore it, in that moment, create the space. You know, and in that space, what do? You can count to 10. I mean, I think for me, the most effective thing is to take a deep breath. But sometimes we're so crazy, it might be better to walk away. And we're not walking away to ignore the situation. You are walking away so that we can get centered again, so we can be our true, authentic self in responding to the situation. Now, that space can be 2 seconds or 2 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it takes for us to get back to that place of being centered. Okay.
So now with kids, see, my husband actually and I learned this when we were doing some counseling, you know, about just taking a pause is what we called it. So now with us, we actually try to say, I need a pause. I'll be back in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So do we do that same thing with our children? Because I have taken a moment and I've had my son say that I'm ignoring him and further upsetting him, and then so yeah.
The thing is, you want to let him know ahead of time. Like, if I need to walk away, it's not because I want to ignore you. It's just that I don't want to yell at you, and so sometimes it's better I walk away. And I think the best way to really teach these kids this stuff is to role play with them. You know, let's pretend right now that we're getting in a little power struggle over getting the TV to turn off or the toys picked up, and I'm feeling upset. Now, my one thing I could do with you, MJ, is yell at you, turn off the TV or pick up your toys. Or the other thing I can do is just walk away a little bit and breathe, so then I can come back and get eye level with you and say, hey, buddy, we need to get these toys picked up, and I need your help with this. Or, you know, so something like that. So you role play it out. But really, MJ, if you guys out there, if you recognize a stimulus soon enough, you're not going to have such a need to walk away.
Yeah.
That's kind of last resort, because what we initially did, we ignored the stimulus. Now, I think it's important to be patient, but not to a point of ignoring the stimulus.
So, and in that, are you saying like the stimulus for us today, it was, I think our son was super tired. And so from the beginning of the day, it was just drunk baby, you know, just everything was a problem. And he's 5. He has everything that I pretty much say it feels like lately. He argues with me. He either says no right away, or he just constantly is telling me the opposite of what I'm telling him. Even if, you know, we both know it's true, it's like almost a reaction for him. But I guess so in those times, I mean, it's more like just like the listening. I guess I don't really know when that's going to happen. I hear never.
There is a saying from that book, How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, and Listen So Kids Will Talk. Like, the kids will listen to us when they feel being listened to.
Yeah.
So, but I also get that 5-year-old thing, because I've got a couple of 5-year-old granddaughters right now, and when I kind of just tell them what needs to be done, they're usually like, But when I, remember to take that breath and get down eye level, especially when that happens, and say, hey, so I need, this is huge, saying to these kids, I need some help.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really stuck right now on getting the toys picked up. I don't want to yell. And if I kind of feel like I want to yell, sort of, I don't want to yell, and it's not what needs to be done. It's not a really good thing to do between us. So can you help me out with this? And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times it works. Oh,
totally.
And sometimes it does. Sometimes, like, I don't care. I'm still not picking it up. And so that's why we have a better chance ourselves to handle this conversation with our kids when we meet the stimulus instantly and not let it kind of grain at us a bit, you know, like we don't want to like grade us and just like recognize it. And I know some of you might be out there thinking, come on, Suze, who has time? What if you have 3 kids? I get it. I have 3 kids up in Orange County, 5, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes they can get going. And at those points, I learned to stay really quiet and take action. Like I might need to put one to sit on a couch over there, you know, or sit on the stairs, not far away. But I completely own my stuff. Hey guys, I'm feeling frustrated, or I don't even know what to do right now because I don't want to yell. So and they're like, you know, then they get up, and I'm like, oh, so you want to get up? So are you ready to help out? But I know minimize talking in those moments is huge.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, that's been one of the things that I think I learned when Jay was a toddler, and this just started, you know, everything just started happening, all the independence and, you know, wanting to do things on his own and getting frustrated. But it's amazing when you're just real with your kids and honest and human, you know, and that helping. It's funny because I said to my son the other day, he was fighting with his friends, and I came up and I said, now I can help you guys, or you guys can figure it out. And they were like, we don't want your help, you know, we're going to figure it out ourselves. So it worked out because they're thinking they're, you know, in charge, I think. But
well, it empowers them, and in those moments, we're actually speaking with them. We're not speaking at them. We're not speaking to them. We're speaking with them. And that's where they feel empowered. That's where they feel the respect coming from us to them.
Yeah.
So they're going to respond. Kids are going to respect us when they feel respected.
Yeah.
You know, so in those moments, you're being very respectful and you're being very real. And that's 2 components what every child of this generation needs from a parent is to be truthful and to be respectful.
Yeah.
And when we're truthful and respectful, man, magic happens.
Yes. So now, Erin, you have a little boy that is about 6 months younger than Jay, but so I know that you have something to say about what we've been talking about, or you have some stories maybe.
You know, it's just I was sitting here pretty amazed at how much everything you talked about, Susie, was exactly as MJ said at the beginning, that this is really about all the different relationships, because in your whole discussion I kept replaying encounters I'd had with friends and family over just like the last week, and I could see all of those same things regardless of age or relationship. So and one of the things that was kind of discussed today with another friend was the setting the boundaries about like not letting somebody be mean to you, you know, and it's okay for somebody to be having a hard time. You can respect that, but they can't be mean to you. And I think that's what I just kept coming back to, you know, and thinking, oh no, what am I in for 6 months from now? He's fighting you on everything, MJ.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, one thing that I was brought to my attention today was by my mom. She said, you know who that is? That's you. And I mean, I always read those quotes, you know, we don't want to raise kids that are just, you know, going to go along with the crowd and just do, you know, what everybody else wants them to say and do. It's just not going to be, you know, a child that actually kind of pushes the boundaries. Those are the kids that, you know, that we want to raise. We don't want them to just go along with everything that everybody else says. So I look at it with, I deserve my self-care when I take my self-care, Susie. And I make sure now to get that in, because I just, you know, when I do take my self-care and my son asks me, I'm like, well, mommy needs some time, because mommy is a much better mommy when she gets time with her girlfriends or when she runs or whatever I do. So I think it's one of those things where it's like it's a flow, you know, you're just going to kind of go through it and figure out how to cope, and self-care is definitely one of the things that you earn that drink whenever you take your drink, afternoon or evening.
And so the thing about self-care too, though, at some points we don't have the time. You know, it might be 5 o'clock and we're like, oh my God, I've done nothing today to take care of me. So it can be as simple as going outside, opening your back door or front door, and just breathing in air, or doing 10 jumping jacks, or just something to take you out of the mode of like, I'm getting stuck, and like just giving a new perspective. But with the intent, this is some self-care. This is all I've got today. But at least it's some self-care, and I'm going to do better tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
And I just want to clean up one more other thing here, MJ. It's really important for us to use the word I and not mommy. Okay, be accountable for what you need. Because it'd be, what's your son's name?
Jason.
You know, it'd be kind of crazy for Jason to come up to you and go, Mommy, Jason was wondering if he could have a glass of milk. And Jason's really tired right now, and if Jason doesn't get some milk, Jason's going to be really grumpy. So it's important that Jason gets some milk. And you'd be like, okay, Jason. So it's the same aspect when we say mommy needs this, or mommy's got to be with her girlfriends, because then mommy's much better. Mom, just you switch it out to I.
Okay.
I need to be with my girlfriends. I need to take care of myself. This is what I need. Because now you're being accountable, and it's just a beautiful model for kids to be accountable versus throwing themselves into a third party.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. No, I appreciate that. I mean, anything that I can correct now and learn from it totally makes sense, you know. And
that's more for him than you.
Yeah.
You know, that teaching him to use the word I versus, well, he's not going to use you. Like, you know, you need to do that. If you don't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm always correcting parents, just own your stuff so that the kids learn to own their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we are totally modeling. They're mirroring everything so far. So, you know, we've got to keep that going with everything, including, you know, our stuff, our issues, and even, you know, our self-care. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
One of the other things, or there's a few other things before we end. I know we're probably going to go a little over, but you had the idea of you talked a little bit about the space between there, and of course for me when I saw that, that's my favorite band is the Dave Matthews Band, and he has a song called The Space Between. But when I was reading what you were talking about with the space between it, you know, it's obviously a little bit different than the song, but it kind of makes that connection in the sense that there is this space that we have to make it, and that can be hard. But let's talk a little bit about that if you can.
Yeah, so that's what kept Viktor Frankl alive through the concentration camps, like, because he was choosing that space, like he was disciplined enough to create the space, and then in that moment it's when he chose how to respond. So as parents, we've got to discipline ourselves to create the space, and then it's in that space when we're getting back into our hearts that we choose how do we want to discipline in this moment. So it's a very important, but you know, we all want our kids when they're feeling stimulus, we all want them to be able to stop, take a break, create some space, and say, how do I want to handle this? What would be in my best interest right now with this person being mean to me or bullying me, or, you know, whatever it is. We want them to know how, but so we model it in one way that I teach in my classes is what I call the heart connector. And so the thing is, you feel the stimulus, and so what you do is you put your hand, one hand or two hands on your heart, and that's such a visual, kinesthetic way of reminding yourself, I need to get back here. And the kids say, Mommy or Daddy, what are you doing? You're like, I want to get back into my heart. I don't want to yell, so give me a moment. And it won't be very long till your kids start doing this.
Right.
And it's awesome. I had a friend, she sent me a little YouTube of her 5-year-old. She walked into the room, and he was like this, sitting there and just breathing. And she's like, what's going on for you, bud? He's like, I just want to get back into my heart. I'm so mad right now at my brother, or something like that. And she was like, oh my gosh, she must be, you know, she's like, I guess I'm modeling that enough right now that my boys are just going boom. Yeah. So, you know, and I have a couple who they've chosen where if they feel one person is kind of getting out there, they have the right to go to that person and put their hand on that person's the heart of the other person to remind them, stay here. But for kids, it's such a beautiful modeling. For us kinesthetic folks, like, I need this. I don't remember things I've been told, but I remember things that I do. So it's a great reminder. Go up here, take a deep breath, just relax a little bit until you figure out. And someone might say, well, what if the kids are fighting in the other room? I go, well, then run to the room, look in there, make sure there's no blood, and if they're just fighting and it's not voracious fighting, stop in the doorway and breathe. Yeah. And then come in and handle the situation just like you did. Do you guys want some of my help, or can you guys figure this out on your own? Yeah. Perfect statement to say. So that's where the heart connector comes in too.
Yeah, I love that. It really does diffuse a lot of issues when, for both my husband and myself and my son and myself, I will offer my son a hug, even right after he has hit me or done something that's really kind of been maybe intrusive to my body. But I will let him know that I need to give him space, and or I need space from him, and then I also, when he's ready, I want to give him a hug. And it's just amazing, like how he responds to that, and just how physically his body, just when I give him the hug, it goes limp, and he cries so hard. And to me, it seems like, okay, you needed to do that cry.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I did want to get to one of the questions that that we were asked on Facebook. Anna asked, what ways to respond to a toddler who screams in defiance?
Like, no!
Probably.
With those toddlers, it's best to take action and not use words. So if you're the toddler and I say to you, hey, it's time for you to go upstairs and take a bath, and you're like, no, rather than me trying to have some conversation with you, and rather than me saying, okay, then fine, I'm going to carry you, that just throws fuel on the fire. Yeah. So if I can see you're at the end of your ropes and you're like, no, I'm not taking a bath, with no words, I would just pick you up and not say a word all the way to the bathroom. And yeah, you might get some fighting, but you're not going to get half the intensity of a fight if you start that verbal warfare first, and like, well, you have to, and you get up there now, or I'm going to carry you up there, and if I have to carry you up there, you're not going to like, blah, blah. Just zip it, parents of toddlers, and take actions. I mean, I had that experience today at the beach. My 2-year-old grandson didn't want to leave, and his dad just picked him up, and he screamed all the way from the ocean to the car. And it was awesome. His dad didn't say anything. He just let him cry it out, because we both knew he was mad because he didn't want to leave the beach. And then finally we got in the car. I looked at him. I said, hey, buddy, you want to stay at the beach, don't you? And he doesn't really talk much. So he was like, yes. I bet you do. The beach is fun, isn't it? Yeah. And he kept pointing. I'm like, I know you want to go back, and it's not. Today we're done with the beach. And but by then he had kind of settled in, and he wasn't like completely happy. I go, but do you want to go sit in your car seat? He's like, So it ended it. But that mirroring back and acknowledging. But once the storm has left, when the storm's going on, parents, zip it, zip it.
It's so funny because it's exactly like what I learned in counseling when I went, recently with my husband. It's just like, you have to choose a time. When I walk into my husband and he's at his computer and he's working, and I have to check in with him. Is this an okay time to talk to you? But it's just so funny how it works the same. But definitely the less words are the better. I used to find myself just talking in circles, and I'm like, I'm not even listening to myself. How is my son even listening?
Seriously.
So, but that's great advice, and the thing is too is that we're not. We are hearing their feelings. We're just, having to choose a different time to do that, to talk to them.
Well, think about when we're fired up, the emotional part of this is your logical part of the brain, and this is the emotional stem. When we get fired up, the blood leaves that part of the brain and goes into the emotional stem, and there's no thinking, there's no listening in emotional. Yeah. So why even talk? It just, and our tone kills it if we get emotionally with it. So it's just better we just not talk until everything is neutral.
Exactly. And I think, for a long time as a young adult, I thought that space that we took, because I think I don't know what it was, but I just grew up like wanting to get done with whatever needed to get done at the moment. And I didn't want to take that space. And then once I got married, it was like, actually, this is good because we calm down and we, take our time and then we come back together. So, and I think that, is one of the things too, that, it's helpful to, as a married couple, that we are, modeling that. He's seeing that, obviously. So
huge. 95% of what our kids learn is what we model.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I listened to Thich Nhat Hanh speak. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk years ago at the convention center, and he was speaking on compassion. So someone raised their hand in the crowd and said, well, he asked, how do you raise compassionate kids? And he looked at the couple and he said, by being compassionate towards each other.
Yes.
And, then he went on, if you want to raise kids that are kind, be kind to each other. Mm-hmm. You could hear a pin drop that moment in that auditorium. Everybody just went, whoa.
Yeah.
Like checking out their own relationships. How do they do relationships in life? Yeah. It was awesome.
Yep, and that goes for so many things, especially when it came to just the idea of being physical with your kids to get something that you want done, or how do you explain that to them, that it's okay for you to be physical with them, but it's not okay, like that? Yeah. That to me was just like a no-brainer. Like, obviously, don't hit because you don't want to be hit, or you don't want to hit other people. So, but okay, awesome. Well, I think that we kind of covered everything. I mean, the tips as far as what to do, when you're in the situation. And I think one of the things that's huge too is that, like you said, it's not something that happens overnight. It isn't necessarily easy. Yeah. It's challenging, right?
In fact, what I want to say right there, MJ, is don't try to do this 24/7.
Yeah.
Like I start using the analogy now, like it's like training for a marathon. You wouldn't just go run 26 miles, you'd run 2 miles and build up. Yeah. So pick an hour during the day, like, okay, this is 1 hour between 12 and 1, man, I'm on my A game. I'm going to practice the heart connector, creating that space the minute I feel a stimulus, and then build upon that versus thinking, I'll just do this. And then you're not going to do it, and you're going to feel like a loser, and then you won't do it at all. Like, you would quit. If you try to run 26 miles in one day, you forget it. I'll never run a marathon, right? Yeah. So just, parents out there, just pick an increment or a couple increments through the day, like A game time, and be okay not always doing it perfect. In fact, have the courage to be imperfect. Because we're not looking for perfection here. This is one area, as all of us parents have learned, there is no perfection. The perfection is in the imperfection.
Yes.
The humanness of us.
Exactly. The more mistakes we make, the more our kids see us make mistakes, the more that they know that it's just that it's not a bad thing, and it's not like, I definitely was a perfectionist growing up, and it's, being a mom has helped me to not be, so I'm so thankful for that. But yeah, and also too, that it since it doesn't happen overnight, I think one of the things that I always helped me going when I was doing new things and changing something was that, the more that I did it, the better I would get at it. I like that aspect of just, kind of don't set yourself up to fail.
Just give yourself a little time, work on it, build that muscle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. Okay. Well, this was yet another episode that was fabulous. Thank you so much for your time, Susie.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, definitely. And all of your knowledge. I will definitely be watching this one again to get some more notes. But thank you all for joining us. We did have a lot of viewers live tonight, and I was checking to see if you had any questions, but I didn't see anybody post them in the event. But if you do have questions later on, please feel free to reach any outlet, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, of course, and let us know, and I will try and get those questions answered for you, or get them over to Susie and get you guys connected. Susie, you're going to be joining me again couple episodes down the line here, so you and I will be together one more time.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Me too. I can't wait. So thank you again, Susie, and thank you guys for watching, and we will see you not next week, but the week after. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Okay, you too, Susie. Thank you.
Bye.